Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Sunday. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 2, episode 35, titled Hughes or Kakko. I am your host, Sam Wu, here with Beer Baron and Shorts Guy somewhere in beautiful New Jersey, powered by Nova Product Design on the Primetime Radio Network. Well, we're back, guys. We're back from that 5 or 6 week hiatus because we got shafted by our own family and friends and significant others of Game of Thrones. We'll admit it. We're not going to lie.
There was no competing with Game of Thrones. As much as everyone complained about the last season, there was no competing against it.
I know.
I did need some time off. I did need some time to reset before this draft, though.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we
were only going to talk about the same thing over and over again for you know.
Exactly.
You had the 2 tournaments, but other than that, it's all speculation at this point. There's, they're doing interviews now in the combine, but prior to that, it really would have been not much to talk about other than the same things recycled.
Yeah, and honestly, I want to say that I can answer the question. Is the title of the show Hughes or Kakko? I think it's going to be Hughes, and I'm going to say that with like 98% certainty. It just seems that way. It just feels that way. Everything is leaning that way, and honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. So, no matter what the world's showed with Kakko just ripping it up, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with Jack Hughes.
Yeah, and listen to everyone talk saying that Kakko was doing very well, and he had a great tournament. You got to give him all the credit in the world. He had a fantastic tournament, and of course, he wanted to have a really good, fantastic tournament because it's always been talked as Jack Hughes going number one. Jack Hughes going number one. He needed to at least try to prove that he could be number one. Mm-hmm. But also, you really can't judge a body of work based on one tournament. There have been examples in the past with with soccer players having a fantastic World Cup and then being sold and transferred for, stupid dump trucks full of money and then not really doing much afterwards. So
There's
not to say he's not to say it by any means is Kakko going to be a bust. However, he may just be having a fantastic tournament or had a fantastic tournament, which just could have been the right place, the right time. But that may not be an accurate account of what he's going to do going forward. He is going to be a fantastic player. We know that. That's unavoidable.
Well, first of all, I have to jump in real quick because we have to say hi to Rob and Jake and everybody. Welcome back to everybody. Jake wants to see what your shirt says. So there's a request. Hi, Stacy. Hi. There's a request to see the draft lottery champions. I love that.
Okay,
well,
now I have full
now
screen.
you're single screen.
Now I got to stand up again. Draft lottery champions for 2019, which we do have for sale. I think there was one sold, and I also have one of them. So I actually made a second one. I meant to hang up, but it didn't get to be hung up. Hey, there's the jet we're trying to.
That's right.
There's our multi-million-dollar jet that we need to buy, and then that guy with the flood pants who may make an appearance on the jet too. You never know.
Yeah. So it's funny you were just saying before all this. Kakko's going to be a heck of a player, and he is. Don't get me wrong. The dude is NHL ready. He's playing a man's game. He put on some moves and put on one hell of a show in the tournament, but. There's a lot of people saying that he is at where he's going to be. He can get better. He will get better. It sucks that he's going to be across the river. I think that's the worst part. Kind of like the Nico and Nolan. Like when they were talking about it leading up to the draft, I was like, I was all Nico Hischier, and I was hoping that they'd choose him. But in the back of my mind, I was like, but Nolan Patrick has got some pedigree. He's got health issues and all these other kind of things that kind of keep him from where he should be, but it sucks when your rival team is right in your backyard and waiting for you to, you pick number one, they take number two, and it could be one of those although it's going to feed that rivalry even more, which is even better. So,
can I interject here from a fan standpoint?
Go ahead, Sam.
I can't wait to boo him, Kakko. They better draft Hughes because I'm saying this right now. With the last name Kakko, I just can't wait for those Devils Rangers games for the next 15 years. That's all I have to say.
There's going to be a lot of suck my pants. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, right.
Oh, by the way, not to get off topic here, I drove by Mulberry Commons today, and it's beautiful. The water fountains. And I'll just say this, and I'll say it politely. There's a lot of people camping out overnight over there too, if you know what I mean.
Oh, well, it's a nice area.
Yeah, of course. I think everybody should visit it. Anyway, I'll keep my mouth shut now and let you guys go.
Thank you, Sam.
I'm very out of touch. You lost me on that one.
Yeah. Anyway,
do you want me to spell it out? I'll spell it out.
I'm texting you on a private message because I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. It's been a while, folks. I didn't even know what to do with my hands in the beginning.
Let's just say that this morning, a lot of people have made it their quote unquote home. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. We'll talk about that later in the after show.
Yeah, back to the topics at hand. Actually, it's really only one topic. Yeah, and actually, but before Sam jumped in, the one thing that I'm gonna have to say, we were wondering 2 years ago, Nico or Nolan, and the Devils got it right. So I have no doubt in my mind that the Devils will get this one right as well.
I agree.
That was another draft that could have been a toss-up. And I remember we were talking about that draft going, oh my gosh, we got the number 1 pick, and it's really kind of like a light year. I don't think really giving, Nico the credit he deserved as high as, as and as good as he was going to be. I don't know if we expected him to turn out like he did, but in the end, the Devils got that pick correct. So I have no doubt in my mind that they will get this pick correct as well.
No, I agree. And it's funny too, because all this like leading up to the draft with Jack Hughes and all these things, I've never been chirped so hard by Canuck fans. You know what I mean? Like, it's so funny, like how butthurt the whole like Canucks community has been over this draft. Like, there's a lot of people that were hoping they'd have kind of like the Sundin's brothers reunion kind of deal with the Hughes brothers, but they on Twitter they've been like, every chance they get, they throw daggers our way, just trying to undermine the Devils, undermine the draft. It's funny as hell too, because it's like the weirdest things. They'll say like, "Oh, don't worry, when his entry level contract is up, he'll opt out and he'll go to Vancouver." It's just it's sad. It's pretty sad.
And this is why I never go on Twitter. I don't even bother. I don't have the time.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it just because it's quick and fast. You read through everything.
Yeah, but you know what though? There's so much other stuff on Twitter that I don't want to have anything to do with. So I just kind of avoid it altogether. But that's just me.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. And then I have to say that I guess we'll talk about the Stanley Cup Finals and stuff like that and what's going on in a little bit too. But I do have to say that I'm kind of happy to see Marcus Johansson and how well he's been playing this playoffs. Not just like the Stanley Cup Finals, but just like leading into the Cup Final. He's been a key player for them, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see that he's playing at this level, and it makes me think, will Ray try to go back and get him over the summer? And
is he unrestricted?
He's unrestricted, yeah. So okay. Then having it is possible, and I mean, he's showing you that if we get into the playoffs, he could be a dangerous player. And I mean, you put him on a decent line.
When he's not injured, he's a decent player too.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, then they have this 3 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks, so there's a lot of capital that they have, and it'll be interesting if they try to move into the first round to try and grab somebody else outside of having a number 1 overall pick, or if they package those picks up and try to get somebody in a trade. Like, there's been a lot of talk that the Devils are going to try to get Trouba from Winnipeg, which would be sweet because that'd be a defenseman that we desperately need. It just depends on what they want in return.
Yeah, and you don't want to give up too much in return with the pieces we have, unless you know that it's going to be worth it in the long run. And on top of that, all these rumors, I don't believe anything until I see that there's been pen to paper and someone's holding up a jersey.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Other than that, it's all rumor. It's all clickbait. It's all to sell, subscriptions and this and that. It's great to talk about, and it's great for conversation. But in the long run, it's a lot of it's just a lot of it's just all the rumors are a waste of time because it's really not. Like I said, until someone's holding up a jersey, I'm not going to believe anything, and I'm not going to get worked up over anything.
Yeah. That's, and I agree because, Jake was just asking, who do we hope that the Devils trade or try to target in a trade or who do we hope that they get in free agency? There's a lot of people that are available offensively. That would be nice. Jeff Skinner would be nice for the Devils to pick up on a lesser end, Eberle. But this is, you know what? I'm going to save that question for when Nick comes on because I know Nick will have a lot of kind of insight, a little bit more than we do. I'm not gonna lie. Like once the end of the season happened, once the draft lottery happened, we had our last show. I've been watching the NHL playoffs, but keeping my finger on the pulse of what's going on with the Devils. But like for the most part, taking a break from it because it was just it was one of those seasons where you needed to kind of like cleanse yourself of just like, God damn, like I was tired of watching just that, you get excited, you watch a game and then they lose and you're like, oh, great. Thanks. That was great.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like I said before, it's like, it's all rumor at this point, and why get yourself worked up over, rumor right now?
Mm-hmm.
And you can only rehash the same, Hughes or Kakko or Hughes argument,
Eric
so many
Carlson?
times. Yeah. And you can only rehash this stuff so many times before you're like, all right, that's like, I'm tired of hearing the same stuff because there is nothing, and it's human nature to fill that space with something. And that's what I think everybody's been doing. And I know the debate's been raging on social media, at least Facebook, about who the Devils should pick. And it's argument goes back and forth. And I did see somebody, someone in the group said something about Hughes' size and stop talking about it. I can't. Everyone's pretty much on board with getting Hughes.
And rightfully so.
Absolutely. Oh, it was Michael. Yeah, it's forget about Hughes' size. He's still growing. The kid just turned 18.
Yeah.
And he may not get much more height, but man, they can fill that kid out. And it's not like Nico was the biggest dude when we signed him. He was taller, but he wasn't the biggest guy.
Yeah.
So they can always fill someone out. They can't stretch them, but they can definitely fill them out. That's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, what you got, Sam?
Are you talking about that I'm filling myself out? I gained some weight since the last time I saw you guys.
You look healthy. You look healthy and happy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Too many wings, Sam. Too many wings.
We got Nick Villano on hold, but before we get Nick on, I got to ask you guys. You guys see that picture that the Devils put out, Ray, meeting Jack Hughes, and there was this woman that's just like in the way, like her back. Was that Amanda Stein or was it somebody else?
No, I think that's they have I can't remember her name. She's essentially like the psychiatrist or psychologist or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like, kind of like asks like very it's really cool. It's like if you look into it, I'm like speaking so out of turn right now because I'm not 100% sure, but what her name is, but yeah. They look
Just
into like the psyche of the person. Essentially, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I trust the Devils. They got the first overall pick right last time, and that's where I trust that they're going to get it right this time.
According to Jake, it's Dr. Amy Kimball. Thanks.
Oh,
that's why we have you around, Jake. That's why we have you around. You handsome son of a bitch.
All right, guys. On the Bobby's Auto Care hotline right now, we've got from Pucks and Pitchforks our good friend Nick Villano. Nick, how are you doing down in Florida? Are you getting all psyched for the upcoming draft? And have you changed your mind about Jack Hughes over Kakko?
Did I sound like the kind of guy that was going to change his mind, Sam?
Well, I've seen some of the blogs and articles that you've written, and I thought maybe you had a change of heart after the tournament when Kakko put up some pretty big numbers and some sweet moves and some highlight reel moves over there. But I don't know. Did you change your mind?
Sam, do I need to yell again? I don't want to yell again. I'm just going to tell you that. Draft Jack Hughes. Draft him. Yeah, I've not changed my mind. I'm not going to change my mind unless somebody cuts off Jack Hughes' leg. And don't you dare do that because I need that in my life.
Imagine somebody who's like, I got terrible news for you, Nick. They've chopped off his leg.
That would be terrible. That would be just absolutely terrible.
So, Nick, I have a question for you. We were just kind of alluding to you obviously having way more insight to this. We've been on vacation. We're not going to lie. We've been focusing on other things in life and taking a little bit of time off. with the 3 second-round picks and the 2 third-round picks going into this year's draft, and teams like Winnipeg and rumors of swirling around certain players, do you see the Devils using those picks and or other players that they have in their system to try to pry away somebody like a Trouba or anybody else that's kind of floating around?
Actually, I got something a little more interesting than Trouba. How does Patrick Laine?
I mean, if that's possible.
So,
It sounds fantastic.
it's possible. So basically, Patrick Laine came out. There's a report today. It just came out like a couple hours ago that says Patrick Laine has been. He's told the Jets or he's told somebody. I think these reports are kind of iffy because they don't come from the source. But basically, he's told people in his camp that he plans to check out the restricted free agent market. Now, a lot of people have just assumed that Jacob Trouba would be available because of the impending free agency of Patrick Laine. But what if it's the other way around? What if the Jets do prioritize signing Jacob Trouba over Laine, and then Laine becomes available? And then I will say, Kakko, I don't know who you're talking about. I got Patrick Laine and Jack Hughes on the line. So it's a long shot. I do think that's an absolute long shot. But the Devils could go to Winnipeg, say, we're going to sign him for this. You have already showed that you're not going to sign him for that, and he's going to sign the restricted free agency tender. But instead of us giving you 2 future first-rounders, a second-rounder, and a third-rounder, why don't we give you next year's first, 2 seconds from this year, so you don't have to wait so many years to get these assets, and a third from this year. So you get the assets now. You get, the 35th overall pick in a very deep draft. I mean, that pick might get Nolan Foote, who's he could be a mid-first rounder in other drafts, and this year he's going late first, early second, and it's looking more like early second. So you get those assets right now. I think they'd want a player, though. I think you'd probably replace one of those seconds with maybe – I don't even want to throw out a player because people are going to yell, because the players that I'm going to say people aren't going to like. So –
Well, you just got to say it now.
I'm thinking that they're going to ask for Blake Coleman. So you're going to give up the 35th overall pick, next year's first, Blake Coleman, and a third to get Patrick Laine. Because they have goal scorers. They have, Blake Wheeler, and they have a lot of really good players that are good at a lot of things. And Patrick Laine, he's rolling towards a one-trick pony kind of thing, but he's really good at that one trick, and it's a trick that the Devils desperately need. So I think it would kind of work for both sides. And yes, you lose a guy, a penalty killer in Coleman, who's been, he's really good at what he does. He is really, really good, but he's 27 years old. And honestly, I can have Pavel Zacha do that for the same price. And then, you're not thrilled that your 6th overall pick is doing that. But when the Devils have guys like Fisher and Hughes in the roster, you don't need Pavel Zacha to play that second-line center role anymore. You could put him as a guy who could play all 3 forward positions, penalty kill, a little bit of power play when you need him, but you don't need him that much. And then he could just be a skill forward who kind of just, gets those grinder goals.
Yeah, but you think that they would, like you said, it's a super long shot. Do you think they would trade somebody who is kind of like one of their franchise players or one of they hope to be the faces of their franchises? Or do you think that he would even bolt, as soon as he became a UFA?
Well, the point of this is that the Devils would talk to him during the grace period where they can talk to him, and they could agree to a contract, and they can go, and if he plans on signing said contract, and Winnipeg doesn't want to pay him that kind of money, the Devils could have him for the draft pick compensation that's in the, that's put together in the CBA. So that's my point A to point B on this. That's how I kind of got there, is that Patrick Laine has said that he's going to explore his options as a restricted free agent. If the Devils have long, multiple times, Jeff Merrick with Sportsnet has said that he thinks the Devils could be a team who could come out and use that, largely unused restricted free agency as a way to add talent. And honestly, that's a bold price to pay, is losing 2 first-round picks. But if you add Patrick Laine plus Jack Hughes to this roster, and then you go and, maybe I don't like him, but a lot of the writers on my staff, like Jake Gardiner from Toronto, and they think that he could be the piece that's missing on this defense, and he comes for no compensation, just money. If you fix this defense and then you add a scorer like Laine, and then you add a Jack Hughes, and then let's say you add Ty Smith and Jesper Boquist, and they play really well, I mean, now you're cooking with gas.
Yeah, that could prove to make us a very dangerous team. And with the hope being that you get Laine, and if you have to give up that future first round, you really kind of hope that that's a really high future first round, because we've become successful again.
Yeah, I mean, if they make those kinds of moves, which I think Cheryl's going to make some crazy moves, not crazy in high risk, but crazy in wow, we got that player. I feel like there's a couple moves, and it's hard to do this because Ray Shero does these on players we're not even thinking about. So it completely blindsides you. You didn't even know these players were available, and Shero gets them for not as much as you expect them to go for. So it's hard to kind of pinpoint one player, but Laine is a guy who I've been talking about for a while. I've been kind of hesitating on writing a full article about it because I'm trying to put the thoughts about it into an intelligent flow. So I finally figured out after the report came out today, I'm like, okay, now here's the smoke I need to make the fire. He's actually said that, because there's been rumors about Laine all year, because he's had, I don't want to call it a down year because he was still really good, but he wasn't 50 goal good. He was 30-ish goals good. So, but again, I think that this player, if you put him in the right fit, and I think this Devils team is a fit, and I think if Shero could tell him that, he will sign the restricted free agent tender, go back to Winnipeg. They could decide whether they want to sign, this big contract for Laine, and then also lose Trouba, or if they could sign Trouba for maybe a little bit less than what they were going to sign Laine for, and get the compensation, or make a trade happen or something like that. Maybe get an NHL player or a couple prospects, whatever the case may be. I think that it's a realistic scenario when you kind of put it out that way.
First of all, before I ask my next question, I just have to say what's up to Gordon Young from California. The people checking in tonight. It's pretty awesome to see everybody coming back, especially you, Nick, especially you. So let's just say that everything kind of folds the way that it unfolds. The draft happens. We pick Hughes. You say Ray Shero is probably going to be making these crazy moves. It's kind of, I'm just curious to see if they would try to trade into the first round or try to make a move into the first round. And I know names like Caulfield have been kind of mentioned, but I think he's going to go within the top 10. So there's no way in hell that they could figure out a way to trade into that top 10. But do you see them trying to trade back into the first round to try to get anybody else? Or is that just kind of you know what, they got their number one overall and now they'll just kind of let the chips lay where they lay?
There's 2 names that I could see them doing it for. One is a long shot because I think he's going to go in the top 10, but if he falls to 15, I think Ray might try to put up a big boy move for him, and that's Peyton Krebs. Because Peyton Krebs has a lot of question marks surrounding him because he played for a really bad team this year in juniors, but he's really, really good. He's just raw. He's raw talent. So he would need a lot of coaching, but I think that Ray Shero trusts his coaching enough to kind of do something with him. And then the other guy is, so I'm going to butcher his name. His name is Arthur. I think it's Kalyakev is how you pronounce it. But he's a guy that I've seen anywhere from 12 to second round. And those are the kinds of players that Ray Shero likes to take chances on. So if he starts falling towards 20, 25, and I think a team's going to take a chance on him before him, but if he falls to 22, I think Ray Shero gives that team a call and says, take 2 of our second round picks and a fourth or something, just to get that player. And it's a lot to give up. It's a lot to give up, but you're getting a guy with top of the first round talent for, the 35th, whatever, maybe the Boston pick, which ends up being 63, and then a fourth round pick. You kind of take that. But those are the only two names that I could think of off the top of my head that I think that Ratio is really, really going to want to jump ahead and kind of jump back into the first round, just because it's cost so much to get back in the first round. Like I just told you, 2 seconds and a fourth to go up what it ends up being 13 spots.
Yeah, but that's a fantastic thing that we have. The advantage we have for this draft, aside from first overall, we have so many assets that we can use just within the draft itself. On top of that, we got a ton of cap space that we can use in order to try to prize something from someone else that may just be one of those things that just kind of falls into our lap.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this offseason is just getting started with the Jack Hughes pick, and that's obviously what a lot of our focus has been up until the 21st. But once that's gone, now we got so I don't know if you've been looking at the numbers. You guys have said you've taken some time off. Well, so Cap Friendly, which is a great resource, they've already upped the cap to $83 million because that's what the predicted number from Gary Bettman is. That gives the Devils $35 million in cap space this year. That's a ton of money. Bonkers number. That is a bonkers number. And what's even crazier is next year, if the cap goes up $0, the Devils have north of $50 million to play with. Bonkers. That's bonkers. So even if you sign Hall for $10 million, say you way overpay Heischer because you don't want to pay him later, and you give him $8 million, and then you sign all of the restricted free agents. And I kind of done little calculations. But so you sign all of them, and it costs you another 15 over the next 2 years because Blackwood's done next year. Butcher's going to cost you a bit this year. Zaka might get a surprisingly decent contract, at least in the Blake Coleman range. So that is now $33 million that you're spending to keep everybody and overpay them, make them happy, keep them long term. You still have close to $20 million to play with for this year or next year. So I don't know how you don't make a move. This is when you make moves. You do it when Taylor Hall is 28, and you do it when these young players are starting to hit that precipice of their prime. You got Taylor Hall in the middle of his prime. You now have a really interesting goalie tandem. You have, Heischer, and you got Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes is going to be on his entry-level contract before he makes all of the money in the world.
Yeah.
This is the time to really, really hit it hard.
Like you said, it's going to be interesting to see whatever they do. There's a couple of people that are talking about it in the Facebook group. Trevor's wondering if there's anything from Columbus that would be worth having for the Devils, Panarin or even Bobrovsky. What are your thoughts about them exploring other avenues in the goalie kind of realm? I know you were just saying that they have an interesting tandem between Corey and Blackwood. And I think they should stick with that. And I think that's going to be an awesome tandem. And I think it should be, a kind of like a back and forth or a split time, like they had the idea with Kincaid and Corey. Do you see them exploring any kind of avenues with Bobrovsky or anybody else of that kind of ilk?
Well, I'll start by asking you this. Do you think that LA and Montreal are happy with their star rookie or their star goalie contracts?
No.
Not at all.
Okay.
Maybe Montreal because they love Carey Price.
Yeah, but that only goes so far. Love only goes so far if you're not winning.
Carey Price and Mackenzie Blackwood had the same exact save percentage last year, and Mackenzie Blackwood was hurt by, I think he allowed 7 goals in one game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take that out, he was top 5. But even if you leave that in, he had the same exact save percentage as Carey Price, which is good for about 11th in the league. And that's kind of where Carey Price is. That's where goalies go after 31, 32, 33. Brodeur is never going to happen again. These goalies who play 75 games well into their 30s, it's just different. And I can't really put my finger on why. Maybe it's because, Brodeur did face a lot less work over the first 10 years of his career just because of that system and all that. And that's the thing that Brodeur's a system goalie, because the second 10 years of his career were just as good as the first 10, and he played in the shootout era. So, but my point is that I don't want a goalie. I don't, not even, no. Unless it was like a Thomas Greiss type, and you were going to buy out Schneider, but I just don't think. I think you.
There's no need. We have a goalie tandem. There's no need. There's just no need for that. So you're right. Absolutely.
There's not.
I like throwing sticks on the fire, though, so I'm going to ask another question from the group. What about Erik Karlsson or PK Subban? I know Subban, like, obviously you'd have to trade for him, and he's got 3 years left approximately. But
give me Subban. So the Devils are one of the only teams that have a desperate need for defensemen and also could take a full $9 million contract and ask Nashville to take nothing in return. Nashville desperately wants Matt Duchene. There's a lot of smoke there. The Nashville Duchene ties. So I think that there's a lot there, and they just don't. They have no cap space with $83 million. I think they have just under $1 million. So you ain't get Duchene for that. So I got to double check that, because I've been looking at like 20 different teams' cap space, but I think that they're one of the teams that have no cap space, and they're talking about getting Matt Duchene. And the only way that that's going to happen is they trade Subban, or they got a couple of contracts that are pretty bad, but I think Subban is on the move this offseason, and he has no trade clause. So he can't stop a move to the Devils. So, I don't think he would either, because he's very much involved with Lindsey Vonn, who's now a retired skier, who's probably looking to get a lot of advertisement opportunities and a lot of marketing opportunities and things like that, and that's how she's going to make her living. I don't know if you know this, guys, but New Jersey is close to New York City. I understand it's not New York City, and I'm not saying that a player would be as happy playing in New Jersey as they are playing in MSG, but I am saying that the wife or girlfriend or spouse of some kind of the player would be happy being an hours out from New York City if that's where her business opportunities are. So yes, Karlsson, I'm a little weirded out by his announcement over the weekend that he's making his decision with San Jose in the next week. That makes me feel like he's re-signing with San Jose. I don't. That's just a weird thing to do. So I was probably one of the more bullish people who thought Karlsson had a chance in New Jersey, but again, it was a slim chance. I thought the Devils would have to overpay, and I thought they just had the money to overpay. But I think right now, in his head, it's probably between Tampa and San Jose, and he knows that's kind of what he's thinking, because he just wants a Stanley Cup. I think he just wants to play for I think even if Cheryl, at this point, based on what I've seen over the past week or two, it just seems like he just kind of wants to have that glory moment, that Ray Bourque moment, or lifting the cup and being one of the stars of the team. So I think Subban is an actual. It definitely works, because like you say, he has 3 years left on his contract. So when his contract ends, that's when you got to pay Jack Hughes. And I know we're talking about paying Jack Hughes already, but like with these bonkers contracts that these star players are getting, you got to think about, hey, in 3 years I got to give somebody $13 million. So it'd be really nice if you took $9 million off the cap and you only had to find $4 million.
Yeah.
And on top of that, and I know I think a lot of Devils fans would be happy this happened, but if Nashville's that so hard up against the cap ceiling, could that possibly or potentially be a return of Ryan Boyle to the Devils too?
Well, he's a free agent, so he can come whenever he wants.
No, that's true. I totally forgot that. Yeah, he can, and I know he likes being in Nashville, but that could prevent him from signing there too, if they have no space to pay him.
I think that they had a conversation with Boyle, because he did the goodbye social media thing where he said how much he loved his time in Nashville. And somebody pointed out to me that he changed his profile picture to back when he had Devils stuff on, but I don't know how much that means. It just might be a he's with his kids, so he might just like the picture he has with his kids.
Yeah.
And he'll change it to whatever whenever he signs with somebody. I do think that there's a chance that Boyle comes back this year. I'm trying not to look into a lot of these things. I do think he's leaving Nashville, though.
I gotta say though, before he left New Jersey to Nashville, he couldn't speak highly enough about the Devils organization. I know most players do that, but he also pointed out how great the system has been for his kids and how he found like a home for his son especially, and how everything was set up for them perfectly around here. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him coming back in any kind of capacity, whether it be coming back next year as a player or a couple years and being a part of like the front office.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this could be a long part of his life, whether it's on the ice or off the ice.
Mm-hmm. I'd be happy with that.
So one
What's
last
up,
thing
Sam?
before I go, guys.
Okay.
So I just wanted to kind of, I thought we were going to talk a lot about Jack Hughes and Kakko, but we didn't talk much about them. But I will say that there is a lot to like about Kakko. I don't know how you say his name. I heard it said like
Kakko.
4 different ways. So I'm just going to say them all Kakko. So, right, if we drafted Kakko today, he has the best shot on the team. I'm talking through that. I don't care about that. If you draft him today, he has the best shot on the team. He is probably top 5 most physical on the team, and he'll probably lead the team in goals next year. So we should not be upset if we draft Kakko, but Jack Hughes is literally Miles Wood with hands. Remember how we always say if Miles Wood could just get hands, he'd be the best player in the league? Jack Hughes is that player. He is already as fast and can catch up with Taylor Hall and Miles Wood today, and he's 18. He's so stupid fast. It's ridiculous. And and the best part about Hughes' game, is he's one of the smartest 18-year-old hockey players I've ever seen covering hockey. His hockey IQ is through the roof. He knows what to do. He makes decisions quickly, and he could change his decision on a dime based on what the defender does. And that's why I'm not worried about him being quote-unquote small, because when he gets hit, they're going to look worse than they actually are, because he's either taken a step back, or he's ducked, or he's seen what the defender's first move is, and he's countered it. So he can get knocked off the puck because he is quote-unquote smaller, but I'm not that worried about it because of the way he moves and the way he handles the puck and just how stupid fast he is.
Mm-hmm. Nick, for me, the way Jack Hughes handled the combine was so brilliant that, okay, Kakko, he's celebrating in his home country. I get it. But for him to go there and say, no, I'm not going to do the physical test or whatever, because he has nothing to gain at this point for doing that. He's nothing to gain. And I just loved that. No, I'm not going to do that. And I don't want to make it such a big deal of it. But I think one of the underrated things about him is he's pretty mature for his age. And what I'm hoping for about the size issue, when I think of Joe Sakic, he was 5'10", 5'11", 185, and he had a hell of a career. And I see just a little bit of Joe Sakic in him, just the way he plays, the speed, but he will fill in. And I'm just hoping that, the first 2 or 3 years in Jersey, he eats a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese every day. He'll be 6'5", 230, with that speed and skill and IQ, that he'll be the greatest hockey player ever.
Hey, as long as he eats pork roll.
No.
All right, Nick. You know what? That's your cue to we're gonna drop you, Nick. But in all seriousness, I'll see you in Florida. We'll try to do a pop-up Let's Go Devils podcast when I'm down there, and we haven't announced where we're gonna do it. All right, Nick.
Okay, sounds good. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Thanks,
Later,
Nick.
That is Nick Villano causing trouble on the Let's Go Devils podcast. Hey, that was a great 20-minute bit.
That
What
was
do
a
you call
great bit. However, Nick may just have written himself off the show with that last comment there.
You know, it's funny. He brought up the point where he said, I thought we were going to be talking about Hughes and Kakko a lot more. Yeah, but we have so many other questions. And like I said, we've taken so much time off. And he's been so busy. You know, we need to pick that big fat brain of his. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, guys, if Jack Hughes comes to New Jersey, we got to find him. We got to take him to Tavern on the Rocks on 9 Wall Street in beautiful Rockaway, New Jersey. Feed him those waffle fries and that whatever chili sauce that your father-in-law Jeff, the secret sauce. He will be 6'5", 245. Forget 230, 245, and he's going to be a monster on the power play,
built like
just
JJ Watt.
Yeah,
that'd be
exactly.
You know, it's funny. Like everybody freaks out about his size, and the one thing that a lot of people are, like I said earlier, a lot of people that are talking about Kakko is that he's NHL ready. He's played a man's game. He's played against men for the last, year and a half, 2 years, whatever. He's ready to go. He's ready to rock and roll. Look at what he's doing. He's making people look like fools. Jack Hughes, he dominated and he broke records in the the U18. This kid has so much more room to grow. And you look at him as like he's just going to continually get better. You know what I mean? So you have a number one. Yeah. Then you look at it like this. Now you have Hughes and Nico. You have your 1 and 2 center locked up for the next 10 years. What team in the NHL wouldn't sign up for that? You know what I mean? Like there you go.
No, I totally agree, and like what Nick said, he's if he has that hockey IQ that Nick was just raving about, you also can't really put a value. That's an awesome value to have too. That he just knows what to do, and I know that if the Devils do draft Hughes and the Rangers get Kakko, and Kakko has a better first season, I know Devils fans will lose their minds. But I totally agree. I think that Jack Hughes will be the long term the better player, and Kakko might be NHL ready, and that's fine. Not every pick is NHL ready right away. However, Hughes could also be a surprise and be NHL ready for this coming season.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think. We put all these expectations on these kids, and that's what they are. They're kids, 18 years old. He's going to be entering the NHL playing as an 18-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell were we doing when we were 18? A whole lot of none. I'll tell you that much. Causing trouble. Sitting in a parking lot somewhere picking your nose. You don't think about it, but these are kids. And a lot of times, like, people like criticize him or critique him in his interview process. And I'm like, dude, if you would have sat down and had to ask me a bunch of questions when I was 18 years old, I probably would have stared at you for like 5 minutes and then got up and said, "Is that it? Are we done here?" And then walked away. Because like the way he handles himself,
with a ton of money on the line,
a ton of money, a career, like having all that weight. That's why everything. As much as everybody hates, exactly, and as much as a lot of people hate Sidney Crosby, and I do respect him. I don't like him, but I do respect him. That kid came in at the same age, 18 years old, and basically saved the NHL when they were in that, lost season of an entire lockout. And he got a lot thrown on his shoulders. Basically, like, all right, kid, you're supposed to be the next Gretzky. You're supposed to be the next savior. Show everybody what you got. Make sure you're as good as promised. And he delivered. I'm not saying that Hughes is going to have the same kind of responsibilities as Crosby had, but at the same time, he's an 18-year-old American who's going to be picked first overall and sent to a franchise in New Jersey, and he's going to be the face of the franchise for the next 10 plus years. That's a lot of goddamn pressure.
I'll take it though.
Hell yeah.
Hey guys, I got somebody on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline. I think we should intro this bully. His name is the Gooch, and he emails the show constantly, the podcast constantly. I mean, we get a lot of messages, emails, we get phone calls like, "How did you get my number?" Written notes at our live events at Mother's Ale House. People slide notes. Hey, can you talk about this? But the Gooch, if you remember, those are a little bit older, different strokes. The Gooch, well, he happens to live in section 208 in the black hole over there. And, well, he tracked us down and he kind of bullied his way onto the podcast. I mean, he got onto the podcast before Jake Wakely. I mean, he really bullied his way onto the podcast.
Oh, by the way, and that's only because Jake Wakely keeps on hating on Mikey McLeod. We're watching.
So for the first time, we built a little bit a phone segment with the Gooch. Gooch, are you there?
I am. Can you guys hear me? What's going on?
What's going on, Gooch?
What's going on, Gooch?
Can you guys hear me or no? What's going on here?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Of course we can hear you.
All right. The bells of 208. Live down here, all these types. There's popcorn bags down here. There's hockey socks. Place stinks. It's lonely in the off season over here. Thanks for having me on. How's it going?
It's going well.
Can you hear me?
Waiting for the draft.
Waiting for the draft?
Yeah.
So, I just want to give you guys a couple things, right? And I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I wanted to look up a couple things here and discuss with you guys, bring something different, right? I have a lot of time down here in this black hole. There's nothing going on. I think Madonna's going to be here in a couple of weeks. Great, whatever. She's 60. Who cares? But June 3rd, right? So it's June 3rd. That's a good thing. You got the draft in 18 days. But what happened in 1995 on June 3rd? Does anybody know? Does anybody know? You don't know. Well, guess what? Well, it was game one. Devils Flyers. Devils smoked them in Philly, 4-1. That game was 4-0 before the Flyers scored a meaningless goal late in the third. And it was that clown, Craig McTavish. Oh, look at me, I don't wear a helmet. But when Bobby Holy dropped him on his head when he was the Rangers, his afro didn't help that well, right? So that's the first one. That was great. And, looking at the box score, it was funny. Like, you look at the third period, and you had matching minors with Lindros and Lemieux, and then Sean Antosky. Remember that clown? He got 2 minutes for roughing late. Eric Desjardins, who broke his arm throwing a baseball with his son. Like, what are you doing? He got 2 late, and then Hextall got roughing at the end of the game. That's just classic stuff. So that's June 3rd, 1995. Another piece, guys, again, this black hole is dark and dank, so my internet, and when I try to steal out of the Pru to get on the Wi-Fi, thanks, Sammy, for taking that photo years ago, it still works. It's Prudential 123. It's like Sammy's luggage box. I read about this signing out in Edmonton. I love the Oilers. They're like my second favorite, right? I love the old teams. Every time they came to Continental back in the day, they were fast and fun to watch. So they hired Dave Tippett this week, and I wanted to see what this clown's all about. I remember him playing for the Whalers and stuff. He didn't really score a ton of points. I think his high was like 41 points. I had 41 points in one season playing in roller hockey in Morristown. All right.
So this guy, I think we'll see what happens. You know, he's coming to a team with a lot of talent. I don't know if he can right that ship. I think Cam Talbot is a clown. So we'll see. Well, it will be interesting. You know, overall, this guy's career, he's a pretty successful guy. 553 and 413. You know, so 1,100 games coached in the NHL. We'll see. Lastly, let's take a look. You guys watch the game last night?
No, I missed it.
Who's that? Who said they missed it?
Shorts guy missed it.
He was too busy watching the Red Bulls and running the triathlon with 60-minute IPA in them. You know, I did not watch a single tick of this game. I went to go turn it on, and they turned the power off in the Rock, so I can't watch anything. But 7-2, you kidding me? I feel bad for this kid, Binghamton or whatever his name is. I think, you know, sucks. But hopefully they come back. We'll see what happens. You know, he gave up 5, and you know, maybe start the other guy tomorrow. Jake Allen, what's his name? You guys know his name? Hello? Is anybody listening?
Yeah, it's Jake Allen.
All right. Thanks, Beer Baron. Have another beer. Jeez. All right, so what do you think? Jake Allen tomorrow night or no?
No.
No, you go back with the kid.
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
bounced back from big losses before, so I expect they'll go with him again. And he's the one that got him there.
Yeah, I think you ride the kid, right? So, and I think we're going to sign Jay Boomoster after the season's over. We've been asking for that guy to come to the Devils for the last 15 years, so it's going to happen. Sammy, you watch. It's going to happen. All right, that's all I got. Beep.
Gooch? Gooch, you there?
Did
He hung up on us.
Oh,
Did his battery die on his phone?
it's possible.
Is Beer Baron texting the Gooch?
Could be.
Oh, sorry, I was checking.
I wanted to
my
ask.
email.
I wanted to ask Gooch if he's hung out at Mulberry Commons. You know, the new park outside of the arena.
It sounds like he was stuck in the arena, so I doubt he got outside.
Yeah, I mean that's the Gooch.
There we go.
All right.
I got a few minutes left.
I don't even know where to go now. So I'm lost.
Oh man.
Well, I learned that Dave Tippett played on the Hartford Whalers. Well, thanks, Gooch. But he bullied his way onto the podcast. He just absolutely bullied. I don't know how he convinced us, but the Gooch. Anyway, guys.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad we took a break. We should let the listeners and viewers know that we're putting some big upgrades for season 3 in our studio, in our live events that we plan to be doing for season 3. It's growing. Yep. We have some different elements that we're going to be adding on. I just wanted to say, you know, even though we were kind of taking a hiatus for 6 weeks because of Game of Thrones and Memorial Day weekend and this and that, we're building for the future. We're waiting for Jack Hughes to come.
Yep.
New Jersey Devil.
And Jerry in the group just asked if we were going to the draft party. I think there's a possibility that you could see us at the draft party. So look for us there.
You never know.
You never know. You never know if there's going to be a last-minute pop-up event. You just never know. We've got some irons in the fire that we're looking to see what we can get done with for the draft night.
We're going to be in stealth mode.
We will be in stealth
Jeremy.
mode.
By the way, Jeremy wrote in the group, he goes, just moving on. This clown got over me. Boys, that's brutal. Come on. That's what Jake said. Jake, if you were like, Jake Wakely just goes, I'm sorry I'm getting all this now. My thing just updated, but he's like, who is this clown? And he goes, this clown got on over me. You're better than that, Sam. That's what he said. Come on. Hey, Jake, man, maybe if you stop hating on our favorite prospect, Mikey McLeod, maybe you get
Your
you
favorite
get a little
prospect.
bit more love.
Your favorite prospect.
It's
Mikey
ours.
McLeod.
You know, it's ours. It's ours.
I
Ask
dropped him
Jake.
as soon as I saw that tape job. I dropped him. That tape
Ask-
job was
Yeah.
an abomination.
Ask Jake. Is it
He
Taylor
can hear
ham
you, Sam.
or pork roll?
He can hear you.
Now ask him. Jake,
Jake,
is it Taylor
Jake,
ham or pork roll?
Is it Taylor ham or pork roll, Jake?
You better answer better answer it right, because Nick Villano's on the hot seat right now.
I have to say this. I was down South Jersey this weekend, and and last weekend. Jake said Taylor ham. There you go. I was down South Jersey this weekend and last weekend, where they refer to it as that other name, and everywhere I go, I make sure to order it as Taylor ham. I refuse to give them that satisfaction of being wrong. It's always Taylor ham.
Well, the other day, someone actually corrected me, or tried to correct me when I ordered a Taylor ham egg, and said, "You mean pork roll?" I was like, "Do you kiss your sister?" Excuse me?
You make
It's
out you
Taylor ham.
French your sister, you sick bastard. What's up, Willie Bauman? Yeah, dude. It's funny because there's sometimes we're all like, yeah, pork roll, but it's like it doesn't sound natural. It doesn't feel natural to say pork roll. So Taylor ham, egg, and cheese, please.
Yep.
Throw
That's
the
why
please
when
on for a little sugar.
That's why when it was listed as pork roll, I ordered my Taylor ham, egg, and cheese empanada yesterday morning, and it was fantastic.
Ooh, that does sound good.
And it was very good.
I tell you, man. I tell you, it's good to be back. It's good to be
It is
back.
good to be back.
It take a little bit. That gooch kind of threw me out there. I didn't know what was happening. I forgot we were live.
Guys, next podcast next Sunday, we'll be back, right?
Yes, sir.
So I will be doing. I'll be traveling all over the East Coast.
Ooh, fancy pants.
Yeah.
So I'll be bringing the studio with me wherever I go, and I'll be actually meeting up with Nick Villano down in Tampa. So we may try to do a podcast outside of Amalie Arena. We just got to figure out a good spot to do that. Also, we'll try to get a guest for a good guest for next Sunday. But yeah,
we can start talking about the draft a little bit more seriously next Sunday, as you know we're kind of creeping closer. We just had a lot of other stuff to catch up on, and we wanted to talk about. But yeah, we can start looking more draft analysis over the next couple of weeks, because it's coming.
That's right. And if anybody's curious what the studio looks like that when it's traveling on a road, just if you've ever seen Breaking Bad, it's the RV from Breaking Bad. It looks very similar to that. The smoke billowing out the back.
And Sam, let's remind our listeners that speaking of that jet, if they want to help bring that jet into reality, if they go to our web store on our site, they can get this new draft lottery championship shirt, or also the regular Let's Go Devils podcast shirts that are up there.
yeah.
So
Why don't you show the viewers? Yeah.
right here?
Wow, that's some pretty high quality stuff.
You should flex when you stand up. You should just start flexing when you stand up. People will be like, man, I need to buy that now.
Yeah, I'm not flexing. Forget that.
And not only that, and here's an incentive for Devils fans to buy it. This is all made in the United States, but specifically in New Jersey.
USA.
So we do not charge tariffs on our, on our T-shirts. Even if I make them, it's still considered made in the USA, technically. Anyway.
That's funny.
All right, maybe we should end it now, we'll just do the podcast XL for the after show.
Yeah, right.
But I'm just wondering why the audio is not playing for the.
Oh, the outro
For the
music.
theme song?
Yeah, can you hear it? Oh wait, you know what? I got the wrong level. I was
Just do it
doing
a
the.
cappella.
You're out of practice, Sam.
I had to screw up once. I mean, the show was just
Yeah.
the podcast was
can't make
going
the
pretty
rules.
well. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There's
It's
the
going
music.
pretty well.
Well, we want to thank everyone for joining. I'm glad that you guys came back. You guys came back to the Let's
Yeah.
Go Devils podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I should I close out, guys? I guess.
Let's close out. Let's close out.
All right, we'll be back
think we-
next Sunday. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast. Shorts Guy, Beer Baron, and myself, Sam Wu, saying next time, let's go Devils.